Hey guys, and welcome to Unit 8, Part 7. In this section, we're still going to be talking about therapies, but more so about our cognitive therapies. For our first one, we're going to talk about cognitive therapies, and let's play a little instance. So say you lost your job. If you said, whatever, I didn't like how my boss treated people, you could be a jerk, you deserve better. Yeah, you might be upset or frustrated or sad, but you're not depressed. If you lost your job, you might have internal beliefs that were like, I'm worthless, I'm hopeless, nobody likes me, and that can sign a depression. It's not the cause of depression, but it's our thoughts about those events that cause the depression. So cognitive therapy helps people alter the negative thinking that worsens depression and anxiety. Albert Ellis had rational emotive behavior therapy that challenged irrational beliefs. Aaron Beck had cognitive therapy for depression that helped correct those cognitive distortions. And Donald Meikenbraun had stress inoculation training where they practiced healthier thinking and would practice it before they encountered a stressor, any disappointment or frustration, so that when they did experience those, they kind of knew how to work themselves through it. The rational emotive behavior therapy, or REBT, helps people notice that they are operating on self-defeating assumptions and rewards themselves for replacing those assumptions and beliefs. So, for example, people might say, people won't like me, they have no opinion, blah, 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 doesn't matter. Or you might say, like, oh, I might make a friend. Aaron Beck helped people see how their depression was worsening by errors in thinking. So, for example, now that I have made a mistake in my lecture, I feel as a professor, students can't take me seriously, and they can't learn from me. Where he could be like, hey, I'm human, I make mistakes, let's fix this thinking. Cognitive behavior therapy, or CBT, works to change both cognitions and mental behaviors that are part of that disorder. And using the cognitive behavior therapy, people with OCD are led to resist the urge to act out their compulsions, as well as to help manage those thinking. We also have a couple different types of therapies. Family therapy, it's sessions with the whole family. It can take place at home or in the office, and it helps with family dynamics, communication, authority. We also see this with couples or marital therapy. Group therapy is about 6 to 9 people who have related needs in the group. Less cost per person, their support, you realize you're not alone. And then we have self-help groups that are led by group members instead of therapists. These can be larger and focus more on support rather than goals. Is psychotherapy effective? There are different measures, whether the client is satisfied, whether the client senses improvement, if the therapist sees improvement, whether or not there's been observable changes. And even if a client does improve, is an improvement really by the therapy, or is the instance going back from the initial crisis back to a more average state? So studying treatment outcomes to track the effectiveness of an intervention, use a control group not receiving the intervention, or even a placebo group, and have observable measures and symptoms, rather just relying on the client or therapist perceptions, what they think. If we find that even people in a control group showed improvement. Is the therapy a waste of time? We found more people are more likely to improve with treatment. Some forms of psychotherapy have been found to be effective for certain problems. So in this instance, depression, cognitive behavioral therapy would be helpful, as well as psychodynamic therapy. With anxiety, you can use cognitive behavioral therapy, psychodynamic therapy, and exposure therapy. Phobias are beneficial with exposure therapy and behavior conditioning. And then bedwetting is better with behavior conditioning. Evidence-based practices refers to the use of outcomes that research finds effective, and more so than that, clinical decisions are made based on more than just research, looking at the values of patients, their expertise, and research that's relevant and recent. Evaluating new alternative therapies. When new cures emerge, they are often promoted with testimonials. We don't know if those cures are actually really caused by the intervention. So we have controlled studies with random assignments and making sure that the interventions are performed by people that are actually trained. EMDR is a recent, more relevant type of therapy. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. The therapist attempts to unlock and repress previous frozen traumatic events. The therapist will wave a finger or light in front of the eyes of a client in order to integrate past, present, and both the left and right hemispheres. Some studies show that it's effective, some do not. And some that were critiqued, that were showing that they weren't effective, was with people who weren't adequately trained. And research suggests that the effectiveness of EMDR, even when it is done properly, may not depend just on the eye movement technique. Light exposure therapy. Research supports that the idea that daily exposure to bright light, especially with the blue tint, is effective in treating depressive symptoms, especially that of seasonal affective disorder. And my uncle does have this, and he uses a light bar to wake up. So about 2 hours before his alarm, he has a light bar that simulates the sun rising, so he has more exposure to that light. He also takes additional vitamin D. And like this year, he teleworked and spent a couple weeks in Hawaii with friends, and then just now Costa Rica. And there's definitely a mood change when he's in his warmer state of mind. What do all of these different psychotherapies have in common? There's hope. Therapists assume that clients have the resources that they can use to recover. There's a new perspective. Survivor, you can change the mood and motivate one another. And then just the relationship, knowing that there's somebody that empathizes with you and trusts you, and that there's a healthy environment that you can grow in. However, with client-therapist differences, there could be different beliefs, values, different backgrounds, personality conflicts. So a way for a therapist to help serve these diverse clients, they need to be receptive, respectful, seek understanding rather than assuming it. The therapists and clients do not have similar backgrounds for effective therapy and good therapeutic relationships. You can always seek a different therapist to see if that better fits your need. Which psychotherapists are not psychologists. Psychologists need a PhD. Psychiatrists who do prescribe medicine need a doctorate and can prescribe medications. although they all can provide psychotherapy, there's specific trainings they need. The most important part is that you need to make sure you find someone that fits your needs. It is okay to meet with a few different therapists until you find one that really works for you. So I hope you guys have a great day and talk to you soon.